Hello, that's better. Hi, I'm Pharaoh, and today I'm going to continue with my bone hunting, but I was just back at this colossal base to start with. And I was just double testing this quarter extra wall as well, just to make sure that the problem hasn't finished. It just looks like I'd forgotten that there was an issue with putting wires. If I select a wire, what am I doing? If I select a wire and you put it along the top here, you can actually sometimes see it rotate, but it's not going to do it now. And I'm not sure exactly why it was doing it, but for instance, if I put it along here, you can sometimes see them rotate. But anyway, I worked out how it worked, and I can explain it if anybody really wants to know, but I don't think this is really that kind of stream. The glyphs were very, very briefly shown on this planet, but I want to hold off until I've actually built something as actually kind of just displaying them. Although I know Gravnaut, I promised that you could come and have a look and see if there's a pattern, so I can send you the glyphs separately. Or you can search the video for the one moment when they were shown. Really, I need a teleporter here, otherwise I can't get back up to my freighter where I was. Biofuel reactor. There's almost no reason to have anything else other than biofuel reactors these days. I mean, I know they're manual, but they just seem to last for so long. I mean, I tend to just put one condensed carbon in.
Technology recharge.
But yeah, they just seem to last forever. How long's that going to last? 2 hours. Yeah, sorry about the confusion about wanting to make sure the stream was correct. OBS is a bit weird and I couldn't quite work out how it worked, but I think I got it working this time. So presumably you didn't have to switch streams. Now what I've been doing here is I've been putting light floors along the wall and trying to see if that would illuminate it. Now I don't think that really works. It seems to shed a bit of a white light as opposed to light floor light. But I thought, because I'd done it and people are going to see it, I might as well quickly show you how that works. So what you do, let's do it right over here. I'll delete the light floor for a start. I'll probably need to delete my wiring at the back. Position myself up here because it's a lot easier. It probably deleted everything. No, it has deleted everything. That's fine. That's good. Let's delete that wire as well. So the way to do this, if anybody ever wants to put their light floors on the wall like I just have, select a light floor. And temporarily put it on the floor. Select a light. The white light's probably the easiest. And position it. This is like the middle between the two panels in the corridor. So position it exactly underneath those two panels and in the middle of this thing here. But what we want to do is we want to glitch build. We want to use the adjacency, universal adjacency. So I'll put that there. We're going to select that. And we're going to put that in the cache. Now, if you don't know what that means, then glitch building is one of those weird things where you can switch things around, and you're probably better off looking at a tutorial video for that, because teaching it on a live stream might be a bit awkward. Just need my buttons for this. I'm going to put that in the cache. So look up universal adjacency if you want to know how that works. Select the thing, and luckily these are always straight up nowadays. They've tidied these up a bit. They used to go all over the place in different angles, but they're always straight up when you just select them and put them against the wall. And you can position it in the middle as best you can. And then wire glitch. And that positions them on the wall. And then you can position another couple on that wall, same wall. I find if you come down the corridor a bit, you can connect them. And then the trick is to wire them up from behind. And obviously wiring on freighters, you can't actually do that. Not straightforward anyway. Because for instance, if I were to put a light here and then try and put a wire, it's red states, so I can't pull a wire. But there are ways to do this. So we'll get a blue light, go back to where we were. Now, a corridor isn't as thick as a thing. If I put this on a room, it doesn't illuminate. But if we put it on a corridor, it does. So I can tuck this. Oh, I put it in there. So I'm going to have to do another one. Let's just imagine we did that in the correct place, because they're now in the right place. So I get a light. The corridor isn't too thick. You can position a light here, and it will illuminate because it's getting power from inside, which is unlike these. I'm not quite sure why these are too thick, but corridors work fine. So what we can do is we can position a wire by wire glitching onto this little, you can just see that PowerPoint protrudes, and we can position this over there exactly in the middle, which you kind of have to do by eye. You can cheat a little bit on PC and make these transparent, but I'm trying not to cheat because I know not everybody can do that. Obviously I would if I was doing it for my own purposes. So that's about right, I believe. If I wire glitch there and then drag that here to the next PowerPoint, switch back to the part, make sure it's exactly over the middle, and wire glitch, and then do the same again, only this time, because there's a point there, there's a wire there, we need to kind of put it against the wire just before it turns. So around about there, wire glitch that, switch back to there, and connect that. Need to get on the, this end one can be a bit tricky because you need to be at a good angle, but you can't put your camera in exactly the right place. But that looks about right. We'll soon find out. Maybe it's a little bit low because you can see that wire's gone down a bit. And then the tricky part is you need to do the same with these. So if we switch to a light, we can kind of put it on the end about there, but we really need a good angle to make sure we're in the middle. And the light itself is illuminated, so it makes the little dot difficult to spot. So we're going to have to eyeball it. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because you have to kind of do a trial and error a few times. Now, ideally, we want to catch this just as it starts to rotate. So if we come as close as possible. It just pops. Sometimes it rotates. I'm not going to do it now, but it just pops. We want it just before it pops. And wire glitch there. So we've got a blue wire, but we haven't quite got the connection there. So because it's slightly raised there. And this is where it gets trial and error-y. So it probably needs to be in slightly further on this point. Ah, didn't wire glitch it. Tried to do, but it didn't work. No, it's not wire glitching. I don't know why. Let's start again. Yeah. I fell off the side and it took me out of the build menu. Nope. We're getting the blue wire, so we're very close. But I think it's because of that angle. Let's reposition this a bit. Far out, so that's about halfway, so it's just there. Sometimes if you do it at this angle, so you can see that rotation. I think that's indicates we're in a better spot. There, we got it. So that's why I didn't think that wire was quite right. So we need to redo that one. Glitch building on freighters is slightly frustrating. Just because everything is just that little bit harder. Nope. It has to be very precise. That might even be too high there to actually eliminate that thing. Sometimes you can get... let's do it the other way around. Sometimes you can get it like we did before on the edge of the wire. At half. And then that's a bit easier to position. Missed it. Anyway, you can see how It's just very, very... You have to be quite patient, basically, because getting it precise can be a pain. I first saw this wire glitch method being used by Enra Silver, and he makes use of it a lot. And he's got a couple of tutorials about this as well, but it's no more precise than this. It's exactly the same. You kind of just have to position it over wire points and hope. This one's just slightly awkward because I can't be straight. Nope, still haven't got it right. But I'm not going to carry on. You can see how it works. You can see how fiddly it can be. But you can see it does work. And I managed to do these. Managed to do these quite easily, to be honest, this side. So quite why I'm having such difficulty on that side, I'm not sure. But as I say, it's a fiddly thing. And it's all because we can't put wires on freighters for no real reason. I don't really see the problem. But I guess it's because freighters are not really powered this way. Obviously, I could turn them red. And those ones are illuminated. And I wasn't fully satisfied with it. It just seems to be... They seem to be mainly illuminated by the white light behind, so I'm not 100% sure that that's going to be what I do. But we're still experimenting with the illumination. I tried putting a red light here. It casts a bit of an interesting light. Maybe I could try putting some red lights behind the panel. So, for instance, if we did it here, if we put a red light there and a red light there, and then put the panel color it black. That's great. That's the one. And then maybe, I don't know if I've got a skull that I can quickly... Let's move one of these. Put a skull there. Oh, I tried to copy it. I want to move it. You can only copy it if you've got two. And it does get that illumination from the red light. So some carefully positioned red lights behind the panel might work. They'd put one on each side of wherever the skull's going to be. That might work. It's a lot of lights, though. Not necessarily the best use of parts on a freighter, but we'll see. It will look nice in the end. What I've done temporarily, there are some skulls we just don't seem to be able to get. So, for instance, this skull here between the swinehorn skull and the hammerhead skull, if we go and look over here, there's swinehead skull is... Swinehead skull and the hammerhead skull. This one here, the horn boar skull. Doesn't seem to be... Actually, I thought I had that one, but there are some that I didn't, that you just can't get. It might be that one. And they're not coming up on the... in the catalogue. They come up... the one between the Forest Warrior and the Pacovide, for instance, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's on the end here. Yeah, this position here, after the Forest Warrior. That one just doesn't exist at the moment. I'm not sure why. So I've just positioned some things between them. I think this one I might be able to get. Winehorn, Hammerhead. Let's have a look in the wonders. There's just so many of them. Yeah, Swinehorn, Hammerhead. So I should be able to get the horn boar skull. Yeah, glitch building is a pain sometimes. We make it hard for ourselves by trying to do these things. It's a bit of an addiction, because you can do things that should be impossible. And being able to achieve things that you can't actually do in the normal build system is quite fun. It's just it's not for everyone. Thank you very much, PT Hung. That was an interesting thing. I hadn't been using glitch building techniques at all for absolutely months when I came and helped you with that. So I was just continually hitting the wrong buttons. It was even more frustrating than it should be. But I'm glad we got it working, and I'm glad that we were able to... What's in this refiner? I think this refiner's glitched. Sorry, I got completely distracted there. Yeah, I'm glad we got it working in the end. I was and I mentioned Enra Silver, and I know you got him to have a look at it, and the fact he didn't work it out, I was very disappointed in him, because he should know. I think he again must have forgotten, a bit like I was forgetting. How have you get on with that build anyway? How have you progressed since I saw it? And thank you very much for the $11.99. Let's go. See if we can find a better place. Because we still haven't found the perfect place to... Yeah, real life does get in the way of these things. Can't always spend time doing this. I mean, I have a kind of a lucky situation that I can spend an awful lot of time doing this, but Real life still gets in the way. Thank you very well. Thanks for popping in. I think that hints that you might not be around to watch me look at fine skulls. But thank you very much. The fossils. Fossil hunter, man and boy. You probably don't know that sketch. It was a very British sketch. Nope. Thank you. Thank you for popping in. Goodbye. See you soon. I'll have to come and have a look at your build when you get it sorted. Doesn't really matter where we go, does it? Shall we go to a blue? Should really be doing this in my freighter, then I could just pop along. And I really should be looking at the number of planets available, because it might help. We've got 6 possibilities instead of the 4 or 5 that we've got here. Just the 3. Let's use the freighter. I can't help thinking that red or blue would have the highest chance of an airless planet. But again, we are in Eisentum still. I should have switched back to Euclid again, I guess. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're all planets. For those that aren't aware, the animation around the star, when you select the star, does represent how many planets you have. And the numbers do represent where they are. Watching someone play today, perma abandoned mode, airless, dissonant, and broken. What do you mean by broken? Oh, I should have scanned from in here. Oh, okay. Bones. Ossified. I guess a dissonant planet with a gravity storm that's very, very frequent would be just as good. I quite like flying around in gravity storms. I had the perfect one once when I was, I think I was hunting harmonic camps, and I could just launch myself. Not having much luck here, though. That's fair enough. Voice to text can be a little bit fussy. almost as bad as glitch building in its reliability. Freighters do not seem particularly
Recharge.
efficient fuel. We really do need to upgrade this freighter more. One, two, three, four, five. Can't see a moon there. I'll do though. So it'll pick up what I'm saying as well. It's weird. They definitely said they'd massively increase the number of bone planets. I have noticed that they have increased the number of bone planets in other times I've been playing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 moons. But when I actually try and look for them, I'm finding them difficult to find, which is odd. I guess it's just one of those streaming things. Never find exactly what you want. Unless you fake it. Oh, I can send out my frigates as well. I haven't done that recently. Check what fuel I've got. Got to think in terms of those spawning sacks. Now, there's a lot of people that absolutely swear that industrial expeditions you get the spawning sacks more often. I'm not 100% convinced that that's supposed to happen, but it might be what's happening. Right, we have at least one organic. Industrial B class, try and get that built up. 148, so we're very nearly there. So just something small. Let's just send that trade one out with it. 150. So that's maximized. Industrial. That one. That organic. $150. So we've maxed out the two that potentially might be the better ones to do. Combat. I haven't got a great number of frigates to choose from on this particular save either. What is this? Combat 2-star. So that needs to be as close to 100 as possible. So we're at 80, nowhere near, only into the 90s, but not quite. That's better. Excellent. Thanks for giving the shout out. And glad you found one. Oh, I just went out of that. Glad you found one. I was going to watch that earlier, but I got sidetracked, and all of a sudden it was nearly time to stream. So I'll be watching it later. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Was it called the Reliquary? Because almost everybody has found them on a planet called the Reliquary. Okay, that's actually good to know that it wasn't, because we were beginning to wonder if we'd have to find that particular planet name, which would be even worse than just searching on the planet itself if we had to search for everything as had exactly the right name as well. So, good confirmation. Was it exactly the same stance? I think most of us seem to be seeing exactly the same model. I presume there's only one. Got 100. This is balanced, so it's not actually as fussy, I don't think. It's only one star. Cool. Oh, wrong way. Do that all the time on these pirate ones. Yeah, I think there might only be one model, but again, confirmation at this stage. I kind of like the stage where we don't know how everything works. It kind of gets a bit boring when we do know how everything works in the game. So whenever we get these new things come along and we're not really sure, then it's kind of a fun time. I haven't walked, have I? Running around wondering what I'm up to. BAFTA Game Awards. Okay. I don't keep up with when these things are, so it's interesting. What do you reckon? What's the possibility that Sean will be there and might mention No Man's Sky? Not No Man's Sky, Light No Fire. One, two, three. That's 6. Gravnot's trying to run the maths now. Purple. See, some people were saying that it was better in purple. The one I found was in yellow. So I don't think it matters where you find it, but there might be more reliquaries and other relic planets in purple, I guess. Just because they'd be less likely to change things in normal systems, I guess. I don't know. It is intriguing that the stone is not called a memory stone. But it does kind of suggest that they're going to do something with it. Ancient bones, viridescent. Could be nice if it's got nice weather. Light showers, not too bad. Is okay. Let's see what the planet's like. Doubt. Let's read that out. Doubt they'll intend in person. They're up against World of Warcraft, Vampire Survivor, Diablo, Final Fantasy Online, and Sea of Thieves. I think they have a good chance. I don't know. I mean, they all are deserving. They're all deserving candidates, aren't they? So, most evolving game. I mean, No Man's Sky has evolved an awful lot in the last 2 years. In the last year, really. He might spit out his beer again. I did like that. A literal spit take. I think I might have to mark this planet. There, it's hidden. But I don't think, when he spat out his beer that time, I don't think they'd won anything for quite some time, had they? They'd won some awards quite early on. But then, I think it was the first of the times when they were actually kind of up for this evolving and an equivalent, whatever the category is in different ceremonies. I don't think he was expecting it. Yeah, I love planet marking. I just keep forgetting it's there. I do like your idea of a kind of having a mode where we can just kind of follow along. Kind of, you can't really do it unless you're in third party. Where you can have cinematic mode, so it could just be slowly watching the other planets as we go by them and stuff. So we could just sit back and watch. Honorary mention. Oh, look at that. That's almost on the pole there. What? One of the marks. There's four marks there. Two lines crossing each other exactly there. But it's not. It's on the equator. Yeah, I don't play many other games, so I've never actually seen Red Dead's cinematic. But I like the idea. People keep telling me I should play Red Dead. And I know it gets a lot of plaudits for its storytelling. In that same system, which I will eventually list, I want to do a build there before I release the glyphs. But in that same system, there's a really nice Diplo planet with Cobra Diplos. Well, this looks like a quite relaxed place to dig up fossils. Might not be as easy as a dead planet, but beggars can't be choosers if we can't find one. Like the Red Dead Online. I know a lot of people are really into Red Dead Online as like a role-playing thing. They'll make sure that everybody stays in character and stuff. Neutron cannon. Have the most OP neutron cannon in the world. It's almost embarrassingly good. What's the 3-star here? Metal Fingers usually is on. Lush. quite a nice planet. I do like these new mature trees with their thick bases, which kind of increases the feeling of undergrowth.
Units received. Units received.
That separate one. I think they're suggesting Captain Steve is into fishing because they like to wind me up because I don't like it that much. And the trouble is I have that collecting mentality that I have to catch everything. So I forced myself to do it. And then I had a major problem with one of my saves. And I had to do it all over again. So I really wasn't happy doing it twice. Oh. Crash. You don't often get that. Come on. I've had 2 crashes now in the last couple of days that have both been related to using the terrain manipulator. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the element of fishing of just kicking back and just catching something. And I like them in the expeditions. I like that. I think it kind of adds something thematic to do. So it was quite clever having the bonefish one, for instance, and just choosing the 2 fish that are named after bones. But I'm not a big fan of the well, put it this way, it's not that I'm not a fan of it, is that I really don't want to have to do collecting it in my catalogue all over again. Because it was not the most enjoyable thing to have to do. Another one? Yes, there is one. Where are you? There's one more there. It does seem to be a thing that lots of games add fishing. And I watch a lot of new players streaming No Man's Sky. And I like that when they discover there is fishing, a lot of people actually do get quite excited. They're, oh, great, there's fishing. So it's obviously something that's popular in games. Especially variety streamers that are just popping in to see what the game has or haven't played for a long while. They seem to be really keen on the fact that fishing is now part of it. What did I must have just shot something by mistake. So that's how you end up killing yourself. Oh, look, because I did a reload, I've got the same spots. They've regenerated. I was commenting, Captain Steve, on your video about not being able to build these things. You can do it from the normal build menu, can't you? Without even having... Oh, you can do those from the build menu. Not being able to build the left hand and right hand. It's winding quite a lot of people up on Reddit as well, I've noticed. It's just a bit weird that we can freestyle build the skeletons, and yet we can't... That's where I've already been. And yet we can't build a whole skeleton because of the mirroring. First person view of the staff. That's the neutron cannon is... It might rotate on the... I think I've only got the neutron cannon and the mining beam. Quickly try adding the bolt caster.
Technology installed.
The bolt splitter are the ones that are most likely to... Okay, I've got all the parts. Okay, I've got all the parts for it. The pulse splitter, that's just normal. Bolt caster, no, nothing rotates. The overload on the neutron cannon doesn't even seem to be that big either. So yeah, it's quite basic, this one, but it's the staff I like the most to look at. Let's get rid of those, otherwise I'm just going to confuse myself. Yeah, I agree. The pair would be the quickest way to fix the problem. Of course, the other way would be to bury this in the ground and then make it look like you built one. And we could make... I don't know if the scale glitching works for them. Let's test that. As we were doing a bit of glitch building earlier, we might as well continue along with the occasional glitch building on this stream. If we still here, if we'd get something scalable. Can't scale it here. I think we could immediately when it first came out. Cache that. Scale. That's not scaling like that either. What's going on? Why isn't that scaling? That's odd. That usually scales. I was only scaling it earlier today. Yeah. Flag will scale. However, that or reloading has messed me up. That's scaling. Where's my base computer going? Over here. Unless they deliberately don't want us to scale this and they've somehow stopped us. I need the flag visible. Hang on. No, that won't scale. How odd. Okay, we're going to have to use a wire. Yeah. On the right, yes it is. I think they might have stopped this from scaling even with a glitch. No, they haven't. Okay. So we could scale it. I don't know if the bones will come out scaled. Haven't got any of those. Yeah, that works. So we could scale it and bury it. That way it would work. So we're kind of cheating. It's not freehand making them, but we can do it. I don't know why that wasn't changing scale. That's variable. There's always a way, though. Actually, I might as well just leave this and call this the because this might be a good place for the bone. Okay, where were we? Continue with this as we were using it the other day. But it is nothing if not fast. It's a bit more killing. Might go there because I need some charts to do some more testing. one, all on its own. There's another one there. Hidden in the undergrowth somewhere. There it is. They're quite widely spread, these things, on this planet. What colour system is this? Yellow. It's a nice planet for a yellow system. Yeah, real inefficient air, I would say. We weren't exactly going fast when we were in the air then, because we were pointed rather high up. Yeah, this is the other button system. See, I've switched back from experimental to normal, and I've got a different system because Steam, the way Steam works, it will switch you around. That's why it always confuses me which buttons I'm using. I used to have my own custom buttons for glitch building, which is why I occasionally just get very lost because of my muscle memory. I gave up doing it because it just kept changing buttons over and over again. If I'd go into experimental, I'd have to set it up, I'd come back into main and they'd change something about the control system and I couldn't use my old ones. It was getting frustrating. Almost gave up then, and I just saw it out the corner of my eye as I was moving away. Yeah, I was mentioning the other day though, some airless planets, I found they're a little bit broken. So whether or not it's still broken, but I've found it kind of messes up the view. It makes everything shake on some airless planets, not all. There's a real you get a similar thing on low gravity if you try and use faster exocraft. An ancient bone in the middle of a copper resource. There's time for everything. Annoyed the sentinels that are probably... Oh, they are frequent here. Not enough to really upset them. It's still got another stone there. Am I imagining it? No, it's not showing up. For a part. SCP-25. I got that right? Yes, people can do expeditions from the past, but only on PC, and they're not perfect. I would say maybe not even worth doing, but I know some people have enjoyed doing them. So if you're on PC, maybe, but you have to kind of manipulate the files and go offline to do them. And it doesn't really have all of the benefits, but you can get the rewards. What Hello Games will do is they will occasionally bring back an older expedition, like they did a couple of times last year. Or they will bring back older rewards in new expeditions. Or they will put the rewards in Twitch drops, some of the lesser rewards. So I suspect they will never bring back all expeditions, being able to do them all at once. Or anything truly limited? You mean something rare? I mean, there's always things that other people don't have. That's one of the reasons, for instance, some of us weren't particularly keen on the idea of being able to build our own ships. Because there are some ships that are, some of the metal coloured ships are very rare. But they didn't include that, so that meant that it didn't matter too much. I think they deliberately chose not to annoy people that were into ship hunting. I mean, most things you can get. I mean, the current thing that people are finding hard to find is the colossal statues that we found in the last stream. That's something that's quite rare at the moment. Yeah, you can either find a crash ship, or you can just buy a ship from an NPC. Or you can build one from parts that you've salvaged. Yeah, you can't find, say, the Starborn Runner or the Wraith, the most recent one. They're expedition exclusive ships. But as we've learned from the Golden Vector, which was the first ever expedition exclusive ship, they will occasionally bring them back so that you can get them again. How can I get a freighter? Oh look, I found an NPC. Hang on. Where is he? There he is. He's just landed, by the way.
No free slots in suit inventory.
Okay.
Product received.
Freighters, they trigger during the game. I don't want to spoil it, really. You will eventually get a freighter. They trigger as part of progression. And my advice is, if you get a chance to get a freighter, don't worry about which one it is. Don't listen to the advice about waiting. Just grab the first one you see and start using it straight away. Because there's so many benefits from having one. Yeah, abandoned freighters are very different things. How many bones there? I wonder if this is... No, there's no holes here. So it's just the vigilant stones. There isn't one there. Where have I parked? The abandoned freighters you see that are broken and you can't land on, that are in space, you can get rewards from them by finding the little containers and shooting them, but they're usually ambushes. The crashed ones on planets, you can get some really good stuff from them. The derelicts you get really good stuff from, but you do need to be able to get into them. That's all of their different freighters. Have a good meal, Ignition. Don't need to have a freighter to have more than one ship. Freighters are just convenient places to store ships, but you can just if you look through my videos, there's one called "So You Found a Crashed Ship," and it explains one way you can get ships. And what happens if you do come across a crashed ship. But it will show you that you can just summon. So, for instance, right now, at this particular save, I've only got 3 ships on this save. they're nearly all expedition rewards because this is an expedition save. That's the point of this save, is I keep running expeditions on them. So they're the only 3 ships I've got, at least not stored. And you can do that with up to 12 ships. So I could theoretically, if I had 12 ships, just land them all here. Don't need a freighter for that. You need a freighter to store more. And store another 18, I think. You can scrap a ship in the space station. And then you'll get some resources you can sell. But obviously you can't sell your only ship because then you'd be stranded in the space station. Just means dead in the water, as in you can't move. You don't have launch thrusters, you can't take off. My video goes into what a lot of people make the mistake when they first ever find a crashed ship, as they'll claim it and then they don't know where their other ship is. And my video goes into how to get your ship back, because they've not got any launch fuel, for instance. The ambience of this planet, it's very nice. Going back where we just landed, so let's head out this way. That's a crash freighter, by the way. Hey, Alphas. Good to see you. I'm back on the bone trail. Yeah, once you've played for a bit, I would recommend the No Man's Sky Reddit threads. They don't necessarily like it if you just pop in and start asking the most basic of questions. But anything that's more than just a basic question, we're usually quite happy to answer there. I'm always on there answering questions. Called No Man's Sky the Game on Reddit. That's okay, Alphas. I understand that work comes first. But it's good to see you here. Some nice clusters of bones on this planet. It's not one of those where you just get 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2. I imagine I must be filling up my inventory quite a lot now. Or is it spilling over? Yeah, spilling over to my freighter. That's okay. So let's put those in my freighter. I'll go and swap some bones in a bit. Oh, further to mission's not here. I'll explain when and if he comes back. He asked a question the other day about bartering. Book beak, that's a nice one. Definitely don't have that one already. That's nice, the way that freighter is just hanging over the dip. That's not so clever. I don't like the way sometimes the debris sits in the sky. Notice, but after the crash, no, I don't think so. I don't, because I popped the thing. I think it crashed before I'd popped it. Before I popped the Vigilant Stone. I can't remember, but they certainly weren't there when I reloaded. The first one pop? Yes. That's relatively unusual for a creature to spawn in here. Did it again. I'm clicking out a bit. Now I've got to be careful because I've got illicit goods on me. Move that moon ether. Am I close enough to the... No, I'm not. Didn't do that in the middle of the space, so I can't see the terminal. So, which ship was it that has my parts? I think it was my Wraith. Just... Oh, nice colour. What kind of system am I in? Not great. Probably no S's, but we will see. Have I just done 3 then? I think I did. Tried that. Haven't tried. Tried that? Probably not. My least favourite. All red with a bit of purple. But A's are a little bit tricky. Where's that storm? There. That in there as well, because I'm not going to be flying that ship. These spawning storms are a bit like an enemy you can't fight. They do seem to follow you. Right, their ignition. I was going to say something, and I started to explain it and realised you weren't there. The other day when you were asking about, can you just retry an offer at the paleontologist, and I said no, you couldn't. There is a way. You can just reorder them. I was playing with that this morning. And it wouldn't take an offer of a particular 2 skulls I had, the only 2 skulls I had. And so I just reordered them and it did let me. Probably got enough to go and trade some loads of things that I do need. Well, to be honest, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, that reordering. It's like you're doing some bartering and you say, look, what about this skull and this skull? And he says no. And it's like, well, you say, come on, that's a reasonable offer. And there's a way of saying that. So it's not that bad. I'll try in a minute because I'm going to go back up to a space station. There's some evidence that glitch building is a supported thing because there have been times when they've broken glitch building and they fixed it for us when we've complained. And there's much speculation, and I personally think that after 4.0 they deliberately made glitch building easier. Right, so let me pull up my list of things that I have and haven't got. Apparently I haven't got the hornball still. We noticed that earlier. There it is. So let's try. Let's see if we can make it not work. So that's not worked. If we put them in the other order. I'll make sure I use the right ones. Now I'm not sure which one I want. Maybe it was that one. It's not going to do it now. And it's obviously it's not going to work every time. Coiled tailbone and ancient ribcage. coiled tailbone and hunter's forearms. Yes. So charger next. Dangling forearms. Ancient ribcage. Yes. The next one on my list is mustachioed something, but I don't think that's on the list. I think that's one of the ones that's missing. So, infernal skull. I thought I had the infernal skull. Maybe I'll double check what we've got. Got a couple to add to our collection already. The swine horn and yeah, this is the one we just got. Four. What's this one? This is between the flathead. That's the mustachio one that's not available. Here's some canine. This one here, the fourth one, should be the bone thief. But I don't have that there. But I have that ticked. I do seem to be occasionally losing them, and I'm not quite sure how. Carbuncle. Infernal. I thought I had that. Yet again, I have to apologise to Big Daddy T on the wiki for the behaviour of my chat. Not seeing any problems with the stream here. Could try rebooting. And if that doesn't work, let me know. I can double check. See if I can get the stream. No, it's working at this end. Yeah, I mean, I can't say let me know, Gravnort, unless you are back in, but... Oh, yeah, you are back. Okay. Back into the game. Yeah, you want to be careful changing your name. You never know when you forget to change it back. The funniest one ever I saw was in Beeblebum's stream when he was going through the Artemis path, and we were debating whether or not we were debating. Sorry, I just read that. I'll bring that up, and I can't even bring that up on my screen here because I moved out of my browser. We were debating whether or not Artemis should go in the simulation or not, and I was saying how I always felt like he should, and other people were saying how they thought that he shouldn't. And then someone changed their name to Artemis and said, "It's okay, I don't mind." I thought that was really funny. I don't have this. I don't get it. I definitely had. The Bone Thief. And now I don't. Unless... This is this one. No, it's Carbuncle. Okay, well, I'm going to have to trade for the Bone Thief. And then I want the... the one after the Infernal Skull. Find out when we get there. Yeah, I guess they don't want people changing their names over and over and over, do they? I do find that funny. Especially if I forget next week or something. Well, you only have yourself to blame. I just went back to my freighter. I'm not paying attention. Well, I'm just going to have to get used to saying hi, Big Daddy T, instead of hi, ignition. This is worse than Builder's Hush. Choosing skulls. So I want the one after the Infernal Skull. That one. It's still auto-clicking the button below when you click, try and select. Yes, got it. So we got that one. For some reason I don't have the Bone Thief, so I need that one. Maybe it's not. Skull of the Bone Thief, there it is. I swear I had it and I've lost it. I'm being really skinflinty here because I want to maximize my chances of getting all of the skulls. Then we want the Wild Hunter. Skull of the Wild Hunter. Make sure I haven't got it. No. Get rid of that one. No, I've got the wrong one there. That one. That's better. I quite like the mechanic of it. It's a little bit slow. It's the type of thing that doing it on a stream, you feel a little bit self-conscious that you're boring people. So I don't want to get too many of these all in one go. But I quite like the mechanic of it. And it is interesting to see how few bones you can... So let's we've got the swift leg and lengthy tail, but let's try switching those around. No, didn't work that time. Let's try a skull. I know I've got the I know I've got that already. Let's go on to good now. Insulting. Okay, so we've got that one. Haunted skull I've got. Megafauna. I think I might have that now. No, Cyclopean. Get rid of that. Megafauna. There it is. Already got that. I'd have thought skulls would be worth more. That. Skull of the Goring Wall. Yes, got that. I'm going to go for one more, which is the Colossal Skull. Did I already get that? No, I've got the Colossal Skull, so we don't need to get that. There are YouTubers that take their content seriously. It's only 14 days. It won't. It's a lesson in humility. Was it really 14 days ago when you changed from Ignition X or X Ignition X to just Ignition? Doesn't seem like... It seems like yesterday. Charger Skull. It's after the hammer. I have got the Charger Skull. I thought I had it. Got confused. I was actually later on in the list than I thought. I once was on somebody's stream and they said that they had no silly questions. And if they asked a question, it meant they did want to know the answer. And then they asked a question while they were running around, and I said, "Oh, this is the answer to that." And they like started complaining that I was back seating. I said, "But you said there were no silly questions." And they said, "Oh, sorry, yeah, that's not what I meant. I meant if I pause the game and ask a serious question." So that's not what you said. So yeah. Warhound. No, I think Big Daddy T's okay. It just sounds like you're Wow, was that the one I picked up? It's kind of the bone thief. I'd moved it there. Yes. So I didn't even need that one. Yeah, my swapping has not been very focused. Where is it? It's kind of the bone thief. At least I haven't lost them. I was thinking I'd literally lost some. But that's quite common in collecting, isn't it? When you think, "Oh, I haven't got that one," and then you buy it, and then you realise you did have it all along. It's just that it was one of the ones that you hadn't got for a long while, and it's still in your head as really desirable. Skull of the Bone Thief, then the Carbuncle, which I believe is around the corner. Yeah, it's difficult. I've kind of learned to just watch. If it's somebody I don't know, and I don't really know their policy, I will just stay quiet and watch. I'll just lurk. Unless they specifically say, how does this work? And then I might chip in. Especially when you know so much about the game, when you've been playing it for years and years, and there's very few questions you can't answer. Then it can come across as you're just like telling them everything. Skull of the Bone Thief. Carbuncle. Getting confused. Well, I know that I don't know everything about the game, so if you're correcting me, you're helping people that might be watching. There's a lot to this game. It's very deceptive. There's a lot of nuance. Never going to fit two in there. 1, 2, 3. No, it's because I should be putting that closer there. Armored canine. Should have taken that note of the name. Fearsome canine. Armored canine. Then it's the Scavenger. Then it's the Bone Thief. Which is already there. One, two, three, four. Also, there's always that thing when you're streaming, you don't necessarily remember everything. So you'll say something, and then later on, you'll think, hang on a minute. What on earth did I say then? Because your brain's not really in the same mode as like tutorial mode, for instance, when you kind of brief yourself on everything. I'm just going to squeeze this in, I think. Maybe I've made these a bit bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5. No, I've made them too big, I think. Never mind. I'll stick to it for now, and then I'll sort these out later. I just want to make sure I put these in the right order. Skull of the Bone Thief. Carbuncle. Oh, no, that's not right. It should be the Infernal there. Oh, I'm getting confused. What happened to the Infernal? Problem. Player has claimed a broken ship without repairing. Can't call it at the anomaly or space station. On the freighter already owns 12 ships, so the switch is not working. What's the solution? The solution is to reload and then just call it to a base. Because after a reload, you get 1 free summon of any ship. The Infernal comes after Carbuncle. And then not that one. I just deleted by mistake there. Something just deleted. I deleted wire, perhaps. Infernal. Malevolent. Oh, I've deleted the floor. is it? There. And then this will be the last one I place because I just wanted to make sure I had these in order. The Wild Hunter. Yeah, tidy these up another time. They won't patch that because that's it's kind of a get out of jail card. There's a lot of players that claim broken ships, and then they can't find their ship, and it's the only way out of that situation. That you could park your ship halfway across the planet, your only ship, forget to refuel it, use a exocraft and go for miles and miles and miles, find a broken ship, claim it, and then just never be able to find your ship again. And you would have to repair your ship, and that would just be so frustrating. They're not gonna patch that out. Been like that for years. It's been like that since I first started playing. People used to say, "Oh, I can't get my ship." I was like, "But I did it yesterday. I don't understand." And I realized it's because I reloaded a lot. Right, let's just throw these on the wall and then we'll go out to the planet again. Actually, I don't need to throw them on the wall. It'd be quicker to just chuck them all on the floor. Storage, put that in starship, put that in storage, put that in storage. That's something I'm finding quite frustrating. You build these things and then you can't delete them. You end up with loads of them. As you can see. I built that on the planet testing to see if it was scalable. So I need to go to discoveries. My most recent system. Oh, it's still this one, isn't it? You mark it. No, it doesn't put a thing on. So I wonder if the mark works in the same way. See you later, Big Daddy T. No, it doesn't. This is just on the galaxy map. can't see it. Now I can't. Oh, am I actually in that system? Yeah, that might work, Gravnort. It might put them in the base archive thingy, but it might not. I don't know how many people use that these days. Well, of course, I could have just gone to the base, couldn't I? Salvage capsule, that's the word. Haven't used that for so long. Back in the day when it was harder to store things, I used to use it as a form of storage, and you didn't lose as much as people often said you did. There's only certain parts were inefficient to store in it. So I would like build loads and loads of pure ferrite products and then delete them all using that. And just have a massive store of stuff for building. I need to grab a drink of water, which is over there. Something's not earthed in my system. I get a lot of static when I'm playing. I imagine it might be the microphone's not earthed properly. Yeah, display cases, they're just not... if you delete them, they just go into your inventory, which is obviously part of the expedition. So they might change that after the expedition. I didn't mean to come here. I'm in the habit of going there now. I want to go to the planet. There are certain other parts, like there's a couple of flags that don't get correctly deleted, which are really frustrating. These ones, if I put that down and then delete it. Oops, I didn't actually delete it. That's an example of a button. See, it goes into inventory, which of course you don't want. I've reported that a couple of times. Like they've regenerated again, like, because this is where I was digging, but not all of them, just one, unless I missed it. I suppose it's possible I missed that one. Shouldn't be any others in sight, considering I've picked up everything around here. So the ceiling light stayed in your inventory like that flag just did. Or did you just not know where? There is a particular little point you have to delete it in. The arms that come out of the circle, you have to delete it there, if that's what you mean. Yeah, it's select the arms, the little tiny arms that connect it to the surface. Save beacons. Yes, there seems to be a problem because this was the same issue I had with the they're called the automated mining units. I had placed some down before the base, built the base. They worked for a while. Then after an update, something changed and they were no longer there. They were invisible. And I had to go into the save file and move them into the base. Because I couldn't delete them either. Yeah, if you remind me, I can show you how to delete them. They can be a little bit picky. But I'm not at a base at the moment. I don't want to put 2 bases on this planet. It's a nice planet. Light showers. Can anybody check if that's if light showers is clear? Clear weather. Storm free, yeah. It definitely is storm free. Supposedly, I think you can only ever say that it will almost never storm. Because I have had the odd storm on some clear weather planets in the past. And it wasn't like a scripted thing. Which will throw a lot of people. But I know where all the scripts are now. You know, more than the people think. But they're quite rare. And sometimes I wonder if they just glitch when they happen. I've never seen it on a paradise planet, though, which you shouldn't. I wish we could see the stats. Yeah, you definitely get localized. We already had localized storm on this planet. I wish you could see the stats of the planet. So, for instance, the paradise quotient. Like, we can make it a wonder, but it doesn't show us the stats because there are too many of them to display. But it wouldn't be that hard to have a little readout of your wonders. It would help us understand how the stats work as well. So, for instance, I'd really like to know what the radius of this planet is. And the only way I can think to find out, or I don't really want to know, but if I did want to know, then the only way to find out would be to go into the save file and remove my thing and hope that it's either biggest or smallest. But even if it's not big enough or small enough to count for that, it still wouldn't work. Yeah, exploration mode shows you some things. Let's have a look what it shows us here. Need to go to the log first. Then into planet. So it tells us the age, but the age is set by the region. So every planet in a region. Actually, is that the planet? Is that the age? Yeah, I think that's right. And the atmosphere details, which I don't know, but they don't really mean much. Yeah, it's very limited information that doesn't mean a lot, I think. Whereas if you go, say, into planet records, it'd be nice to know what these stats. So that the peak temperature, the lowest temperature, peak toxicity, the maximum dosage, the boundary strength, etc., etc. Obviously the ones that are relevant. The dosage strength wouldn't be relevant here. Yeah, but they are not all the they're not all the same size, though. It's not just small, medium, and large. They've got different radiuses, as far as I know. Put in the pilgrim earlier. No, nothing. None of the bones. It can be a bit dispersed on this planet. You do have to range around to find the bones. You change your name twice in 14 days, so that suggests you'd need to count back when you changed from ignition or to ignition, rather, unless you've changed it some other time. So by amplitude, presumably you mean the whatever wave it's using or whatever noise amplitude it's using for the terrain creation. Might have to stop soon. I've got a bit of a headache coming on. I don't often get migraines, but it's very rarely get them. But this time of year I can, because I get slight I get mild hay fever at this time of year. So sinuses combined with a headache can be a bit of a pain. Nice patch of sulfur there. Sodium rather. Not that big. I like these newer textures they've used for planets. They came in on the first part of Worlds. I just prefer the Roma or Rover. I always call it Rover, but I think it's Roma, isn't it? Roma. Because it's more like a... I just prefer it. I know it's not as fast. I just prefer it. What do you reckon the biggest thing that still needs changing is in the game that could still do with a lot of work? The most glaring and obvious thing. This came up the other day on Reddit. They came up in the context of one particular thing, but I don't want to preempt the question, so I'll get back to that when I've heard other people's answers. Frames per second right now, I'm obviously on the stream it's not, but my frames per second on this planet is about 98 to 100, 94, 96, but obviously it cuts it to 60 on the stream and it can get a little bit out of phase, so you sometimes see what appear to be frame drops that aren't frame drops. just because it's out of phase with the frame rate. I'm on the normal low I'm on the normal low latency, and I think it's working fine. I don't think you'd need it extra low. I'm seeing and replying to things quite quickly. If I type something and say now, so I'm going to type now. I don't know how long that took for you to pop up, but and whether how delayed one way or the other it was, but I'm not seeing any obvious delay. I just don't think it's worth going ultra low. 10 seconds? Well, that's livable, isn't it? There are other problems with going ultra low. You're kind of moving the load onto the watcher rather than the streamer. You can end up getting a bit of buffering, for instance, if you go too low, and they've not got a... Depends what country you're in as well. For instance, there were some real difficulties with low latency feeds to Australia for a while. Which I think they solved. YouTube's infrastructure must be amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that I'm not... It's not like a just chatting stream, although I do chat a lot. I'm obviously playing and focusing, so I kind of look back at the 10 seconds is hardly anything compared to how long I might be staring at the screen doing something. I find it quite frustrating if I'm watching a stream and there is some kind of buffering and you keep going out of line. So you're trying to communicate and talk to somebody, or maybe talk to somebody else in chat, and they you're not live, and so you're not aware of whether the stream is referring to you or not. And that can happen if they go too low latency. It just keeps slipping away from live. I wonder if I was just a bit dehydrated, because drinking does seem to be helping a bit. But I am coming up 3 hours, well, not coming up to, but it's not far off 3 hours soon, so... Yeah, that's a low latency thing, buffering. And again, it's because I'm putting the burden on your local connection by going to too low or going lower. And you're putting strain on the infrastructure because we're not exactly neighbours. Oh, look. When it's high in the cabinet like that, even if it's S, I'd be very, very concerned that it might not be S every time you come back. Certain planets have a problem where you get this kind of up and down of the actual point of interest. Whenever I'm multi-tool hunting, if I ever see that, I just give up on the whole planet. I've seen it happen over and over and over. Yeah, that could be that. What am I doing? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Brain is backwards today. Yeah, it's like the other day, the internet was being used for work reasons at the same time as I was streaming. And it was quite an important meeting that my wife was having. So I could not go lower just in case. Yeah. There didn't seem to be any bones on that one. That's frustrating. I think I'm exhausting this area. I think I'm going to have to take off again. It's a very relaxing planet to search for bones on. It's not the most efficient planet necessarily. Yeah, what would you check? Yes, sorry, I didn't because we were talking so much about frames per second, one of the answers drifted off the screen. Settlements. Big Daddy T thinks that settlements should be the problem with settlements is it's really going to rely on whether or not they sort out the switch or whether they cut their losses with the Switch 2. If they bring out a Switch 2 and allow settlements, then they decide that that's good enough, then they might start developing them again. But I feel like they're not being developed because of the Switch 2, because of the Switch. And they could theoretically change settlements so that they're more efficient. But I think they kind of like them the way they are. But I agree, I would love the settlements to be updated. use the save editor to change assessment to AI values and it actually worked. What did he change? What AI value? Oh, AI valves. Sorry. Yes, yeah, you can change the product. That's not that hard, actually. Somebody had it, I think. They had one of the top. I think there is a chance that you can get one of the top. Well, obviously not AI valves because they're not a crafting product. But you can get one of the top. Like level 5 trading goods, and they do change as the thing progresses as well. I've never actually tested whether if you lower the it's a sentinel setting in settlements. I can't remember what it's called, but it's for the how often you get attacked, like a frequency thing. I've never actually tested if you set that to 0 or the lowest possible, whether you can then get an S-class settlement or not. Some people say you can, but I've just never tested it. Same one I've already been to. No, it isn't. That's sitting in the cabinet okay at that class, at least here. Might check that later. So what they said in also did Grabnort, did you have a suggestion of what you would change? Latitude, longitude display at the top center of the HUD compass ring. So little things. I mean, it's not the biggest change in the world, but yeah, I know what you mean. What I would, if I was going to make a big change to the game, I would seriously consider resetting fauna and making the fauna better again. I think it's been long enough, and some of the fauna is just showing its age. Like, for instance, the other day I found that I mentioned I found a nice Diplo planet. It had a herd of lovely cobra was just quickly going through that. Had a herd of lovely Diplo, cobra-headed Diplos with a different type as well. Obviously, there's 2 types. And they were all just moving so clunkily, and their heads were wobbling, and there were just problems with it. It just wasn't keeping up. Same. And it just made me remember that fauna isn't as good as it could be. I have a feeling if they really, really sat down and focused on fauna, they would make it a lot better. I mean, what they did in Origins was just add a load of new stuff that was cool. But I'd like them to just kind of sit down and work out how to make basic mammals and like anything like this. Just that little bit more, well, just a little bit better. Well, see, the Reddit thread was specifically about, is it time to update fauna? And usually I would say no, but I think it is time now. We've just had huge planet updates. We've had great flora updates. This planet itself was, you know, we've never seen anything quite like this until this most recent update. Changed the entire look and feel of this planet. The purple planets have got great new terrain that we can explore and find different, very different feeling planets. I was on one the other day that is very different to anything I'd ever been on before. So flora, fauna and planets. Yeah, the fauna's the one that's had the least love recently. And I think it would finish the game off. There's a very nice mod that can save certain elements of your game file in a nice user interface. But it doesn't, I don't think, put things into a spreadsheet for you. You could do it yourself though with some coding if you are a coder. But of course, a lot of the stuff is just held in the game and not in the save file. Because it's just all seed driven. Otherwise I'll come back here. Check this. All purple systems in abandoned mode have planets with fauna. Yeah, I mean, coding is... You wouldn't want to spend too much effort on the coding because, yeah, you'd have to do it with every update or every major change to the save file. They are doing a lot of changes to the save file at the moment. Every single update, there's a new save file iteration. And they've started to put along the bottom of the screen on the opening screen like a code that indicates which build it is and a code that indicates which save file it is. And I think that's partly because they're trying to get trying to get the cross save working better. Another way is to use a macro with regex. I've done that with some things, not with No Man's Sky, but it's been quite successful at tidying up data. Not quite as difficult to change each time something changes. I guess it is a form of coding. Look, another crash. I wonder where it's saved this time. That wasn't related to terrain manipulator that time. No, the transmission towers are purely story driven, yeah. I believe. Haven't been to one for a long, long while, but come on. Sometimes it takes a while to crash. Well, it's a 257, so I think I might call it there anyway, just because I've been knocked out of the game. Let's go to a better screen. Yeah, so I will probably continue some sorting out my corridor and see if I can work out a good way of lighting everything. But I'm determined to get all of the skulls. But I was thinking for a bit of variation that the next time I stream, yeah, Hollow Towers. The next time I stream, I might look at sorting out that hauler so that I'm not doing the same thing every time. Because I recently built that hauler, but it needs a bit of love and hasn't got any modules in it and needs kind of tidying up. So, and also I'll need to do some work for that. I'll need to grind for that. So it's like a type of thing that people sometimes want to do. Yeah, I knew what you meant. The hollow towers are not they just don't really have, as soon as you say after the story, I mean, yeah. So thanks for watching. Thanks for chipping in and keeping me company. And goodbye for now. Travel well. That's what I was trying to remember. Travel well. And goodbye for now.